Kerry back with you today. So we are on Wednesday the 30th of April and we are on letter Z. So it's the very last day of the ABC April 2025 challenge. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you'll find a link in the description box below to both Tony and Margreth channels. They are the hosts of this collaboration. And on the prompt list, the ladies have given us zine, Z-fold and zipper. And I decided to stay with one of the prompts today. And I have created this little zine, so it's super cute, and it's made with the traditional zine method of one sheet of paper, but then I've actually joined two zines together to make like a little bit of a flip-flop type journal. So hopefully you can see that. And mine has lots and lots of pockets. In fact, there's a pocket on pretty much every page. So I've got an old French document in this one here. I'll just have a quick flick through because we're going to make all of these bits and pieces for our zine today. I've got one of the little images that I created yesterday or a couple of days ago for the X-ray challenge. Just some embellishing and another little vintage piece of notepaper up the top here. I've got another little pocket over here with another one of Margreth's slides. And then we turn it over and we're at the other side and it repeats. So I've got another pocket up here, I've got another pocket over here, and another pocket up here, and another pocket over here. So that is what we're going to create today, or that's what I'm going to create for the challenge. So I'm going to pop this aside, I'll grab some bits and pieces and we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing I've done is printed out a couple of pages. Now this is printed on 120 GSM paper. You don't want to have a paper that's too heavy because we're going to do lots of folding and it will get bulky quickly. So I've printed one of the pages from the Vintage Pages pack on the front, and on the back I've printed out this page, which is from one of our collage freebies. There will be links to all the digis in the description box below. Now my print is a little bit skew-whiff, so you can see there's a bit of a white line here and another one here, but I'm not worried about that for this project. And I'm going to start by folding my zine pages. So we want to fold it in half. And then I'm going to fold one half back on itself. Turn it over and do the same again. And I'm just trying to get it as accurately as possible in the corners. When you make these little zine books, they do have a tendency to creep just because you've got such a small amount of paper travelling a long distance. It's not just travelling around one side. So you do end up with page creep. So then we're going to fold it in half this way as well. And then I'm just going to go back and reinforce those folds by folding them back the other way. And I'll do the same for my second piece of paper. Okay, I've got my pages folded now how I need them to be, but before I cut them, I want to just add a little bit of white gesso on top of the imagery just to sort of push it into the background a little bit more. And I'm just going to use a little bit of gesso, whoops, that was a bit much, and my brayer, and I just want to add some gesso onto the pages just to sort of mute them down a little bit. And I'm going to make sure that I go across the whole page and off the edges as well. And then I'll just give that a quick dry and I'll do the same on the other side. So now I have my pages that I've just muted with some gesso. Now my pages aren't really directional, so it doesn't matter which way up I have them, and I would suggest you pick something like that for this project. So now I'm going to take my pages and fold them back in half along the line, the crease that we made earlier, and then I need for my creases to be obvious because we're going to cut along this line here. Now I'm not using ink in today's project, so I don't really want to ink this, but hopefully you can see where my edges are. So I've folded my page long ways, and then these are the two side bits, and we're just going to cut from this point to this point. You can do it in a couple of ways. You can open out your page and slice in here with a knife or a precision trimmer. So I actually prefer to come in with my scissors, and I'm just basically cutting this crease line off as close to the edge as I can. So I'll come in on that corner, and then I'm literally just taking the tiniest little sliver of paper off. And if I haven't quite made it to the other crease, so when I open that out I haven't made it to that other crease, I can just come in with my scissors and snip that to the crease. So now I've got sort of this page with an opening in the middle here, and I'll do that for both pages. Okay, so now I have two pages like this. So to fold your zine, all you need to do is pinch on these ends, and then you want to get the opening to form like a diamond shape. So you might need to reinforce your creases. So I've got that diamond shape in the middle, and then once you push these pages together, you can fold the rest of the book around on itself and it will make a little book. Now sometimes it wants to fold more easily one way than another, and then you can just reinforce your creases once the little booklet has formed itself. So we've got this little booklet now. So I'll do the same with the other page. Okay, so once you have your two little zines folded, this is a traditional zine, and you would then go ahead and either glue the pages shut or turn them into pockets, however you prefer, and then that would be your little zine. So what we're going to do is take both of our zines, and I need to find the end pages where it's open like this. So one end page will be closed, there will be a crease down this edge, but the other end will be open like this. So whichever way, you'll need to turn one book around to get it to slide inside the back page of the other zine. So you're just nestling one page from one booklet inside the pages of the other booklet, like that. So then you can refold your zine so that you've got the flip-flops style journal. So now I'll have page, 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 and then this is like the back cover, and you can see the pages behind there, so that when I turn it over I've got pages again. So I'm going to use glitter glue to create my pockets. Now at this point, if you didn't want to have any pockets, you would just go in and apply glue in between all of your pages and close everything up, and then you would just end up with the 4 pages or 3 pages, and then flip it around and pages on the other side. But because I want to have the pockets, I'm going to glue the pages where my 2 journals meet first, so this overlapping page in here, and I need to make sure that the pages from each journal are flush up against the other journal, so that it's sort of nestled nicely into the other journal. I'm going to open it out, and this page here, I just want to pop glue across the top, so I end up creating a pocket here. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue along here, just a little thin bead, and then close that up. Turn it round and find my other opening and do the same here. So it'll make more sense once you've got one in your hand. It sounds a lot more confusing than it is. And then close it up again. So that has created a pocket here, and then same on the other side, a pocket here. Okay, so that's right in the middle of the book. So then it's just working your way from one side to the other, figuring out how you want your pockets to be. So I don't recommend you have bottom opening pockets, but it's completely your choice. So on my very first page, just checking that I'm opening it the right way, I've got this opening between my 2 pages, so I just want to glue along the bottom, and that will give me a top loading pocket. Now I could pop a little thumb notch in here, but this will be my front cover, so I don't really want to do that. I could pop one in here, that would still work. So I might grab my punch and I'm just going to pop a little notch out at the top there. So now I know there's a pocket here. So moving to my next page, I have it's opening like this. So I don't want to have another top loading pocket because I've got one here. So I want to make this a side loading pocket. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue along here. Glue that down. And then again, so this is a side loading pocket, and I'm going to pop a little notch in. Do I want it on that side or that side? I think I'll pop it on this side. Now I'm just eyeballing it. Okay, so next page, again, it's going to be top and bottom openings like this. So I'm just going to pop glue along the bottom. So you might want to not have all the pockets, you might want to just have a few. So you can always just glue the pages that you don't want to become pockets together. And a little notch out of that one. And this is the middle, or the back of this first half of our book. So when I turn this over, this is like the second cover or the back cover, and it's going to be a copy of the first one. So glue my pocket shut at the bottom. Glue my pocket shut at the bottom here, which will give me a side loading pocket. Now sometimes your edges, well, quite frequently the edges won't match up because the pages, it's just the way the pages fold. There's a small amount of paper that has to stretch a large distance, so you get page creep. So you can do a couple of things. You can either completely ignore it, which is what I like to do, and just make it look like it's part of the design by making a sort of scrappy looking book. If it really bothers you, you can go in and trim them down, or you can try to glue them with the corners more precise, but then you may end up with pages that don't really sit that flat. And our last pocket will be another top loading pocket. So a little bit more glue. Little notch. And then this is our pocket, back pocket against the other book. So a little notch out there too. Oops, forgot the notch on this side. Right, so now we have cover and a pocket and another pocket and another pocket, and then flip to the back, and then it will be a repeat of the first book. So pocket, another pocket here, top loading pocket here, and a side loading pocket here. So I'm just going to go through with some ink now and add a little bit of ink around my pocket tabs or pocket notches. Okay, so at this point the construction of our book is pretty much done. We've got all our pockets sealed and our notches punched, and it's now time to decorate. Now I sort of thought this would be a really cute, almost like a little mini field notes type journal. You know, you might take it out with you when you're looking for specimens. So I'm just going to use some of the images from Reenie's newest kit, and I'm going to use the lighter versions, I think. And I'm going to use Mr. B here. Oh, actually, I might use Mr. Beetle. Yep. So I'm just going to do some very simple layering for my embellishments. So I've just got some tea-dyed cheesecloth here. And I'm cutting off a piece that I know will be bigger than my front cover. And I don't mind if I've got bits hanging over because I can trim it off afterwards. So that's going to be plenty big enough. I'm just gluing, putting a little bit of extra glue on my embellishments because that'll be enough to hold the cheesecloth down as well. And then I'll just pick some labels. And then I'll just trim off the extra cheesecloth. Okay, so now I want to start embellishing and filling up my pockets. So I have aside here some pieces of French ephemera. Have no idea what they say. I'm tipping they've probably got absolutely nothing to do with field notes or entomology or anything like that. I just like them. And hopefully that will fit in this pocket. It's a little big. So I'll just fold it down. And that one can go in this pocket. And I don't mind that the sort of raggedy edges stick out of the top. And then I just want to create a simple little cluster for the inside on my page here. So I've got some bits of fabric and cheesecloth and some texture tape. I think I might use some texture tape. You could use washi tape or even just bits of your scraps. So just pop a bit of that down. And one of our little cheesecloth scraps. And then I'll pick a smaller image. And I'll just glue that down on top. So we've just got something a little bit more interesting on that page. So I'm going to go through now and I'll pop like a little cluster type embellishment somewhere on each page. Okay, so I have popped all my little clusters on my pages and I've made a back cover or a second front cover depending on how you look at it. So I'm just going to continue filling up my pockets. So I've got that first little bit of French ephemera in that pocket and I want to pop a little card of some description in this pocket. So I think what I might do is take one of these large layering labels and a large image, maybe this dragonfly, and I might just stick those back to back. And I'm just going to ink around the edges in case there's any exposed pieces. And I'll just set that aside to dry before I stick it in the pocket in case my glue has seeped out at all. So my next one is a top loading pocket, and I think I'll put another piece of ephemera I have aside somewhere. I have these old note papers, so I'm just going to fold one of those and pop that in the pocket. And I don't mind if it pokes out. I actually quite like the sort of raggedy paper poking out of the top. So that can go there, and then I want to make another card for here. So what I have here is I've printed this off from, I think it's the identification card Freebies, and they're designed to be double-sided little, let's just cut this apart and I'll show you what I mean. Alright, my cutting out's a bit shoddy. I should have used the trimmer. So these have been designed so you can fold them in half like this, glue them together back to back, and then that will give you like a little double-sided file folder, and then you fold it in half again and you've got your tab on both sides, little file folder, and it's double-sided. But I want to use these as little cards in my pockets, so I'm actually just going to cut this in half. And then I'm going to cut the tab off here completely because I don't want it to stick out of my book. And again, I'm just going to ink around the inside first so my very poor cutting won't be quite so obvious. And I've got some of these left from the video where I made the X-ray slides using Margreth's slides and Renie's kit. So I thought I might just add one of these on here. And a label. Now I'm just going to add a bit of ink to darken that a little bit. And I might just add a little bit of stamping. So that gives us a little card for another pocket. And then we're going to go through and do the same on the other side, adding things to the pocket. So we've completed our little flip-flop zine, and I think it turned out really super cute. It's kind of chunky for such a little book, but let's have a look through and see what we've got. So in the front pocket here we've got a lovely piece of French ephemera. On the next page we have a little slide with a label. On the next page we have a vintage note paper, and we also have another little picture here, and then we fold over to the other side of the book and we've got another lovely piece of French ephemera in here. And another vintage photo slide card, some more note paper, and our last little piece of ephemera is another little vintage photo slide card. So quite a bit of stuff stuffed into this little tiny book. So there we go, that is my letter Z contribution for the ABC April 2025. Huge thank you to Tony and Margaret for putting it together. It's been really fun. I've enjoyed participating. I will leave links in the description box below to all of the kits that I have used in today's project. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you again next time. Bye!